enhancement with meditation. I welcome you all again on the fourth day of ATAL initiative of Faculty Development Program by AICTE. This is Aishwarya Fagiwala, your host for the remaining days left in the workshop, and I feel extremely privileged to take you all on the journey of self enlightenment and introspection. So we have three knowledge jam-packed sessions planned for you for the day. After delivering an impactful session yesterday, we have Sh.Balakishore ji talking on digital wellness. Next, we have Ms. Ritu Thakur ji speaking on unleashing the potential. And thirdly, we would be having Sister Gopi Patel on easy meditation for busy minds. I'm sure that each of the respected academician present today and the people who would be joining us soon would be looking forward to learn about wellness in this digital world where we can share instantly any thought that strikes us to the world. And then we will be talking about neuroplasticity more, I guess, with Balakishore sir, and introspecting the potential of self and surroundings. And lastly, meditation in amidst the hocus pocus we all are surrounded with. I know I'm as excited as you are to discover inner self by listening to these exemplary speakers today. We have the moderation by none other than Professor Dr. Deepak Demla, Director, Internships and Accreditation at JCRC University, Jaipur. Allow me to introduce him to you all. Sir has conducted more than 80 internships cum placement drives with a placement conversion rate of around 65%. He has also been responsible in bringing fruitful industrial collaborations with companies like IBM, Google, Microsoft, and many more. We would be happy, you would be, really happy to know that Sir recently established a club named Spiritual Quotient Development Club beyond IQ and EQ, thus enabling students to be emotionally and spiritually well equipped. Sir, I believe after reading your profile, we could not have found anyone better to moderate today's session than a learned person yourself. I welcome JCRC's ace card himself, Dr. Deepak Demla sir, for taking the show forward and embarking all of us on the journey of enlightenment. I pass the podium to sir. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for your generosity and humbleness regarding my introduction. As usually, you are great, fantastic in that. I think I do not deserve that kind of introduction. I am a simple professor, academician, and serving for the society for the betterment. Yes, of course, through these kind of FDPs, I am getting privileged to know more about productivity enhancement. It is a great learning platform for me. Thank you for giving me a chance to start this session, and I welcome all the audience and especially our guest speaker today, Balakishore. And on behalf of JECRC University management, organizing team, and on behalf of all the participants. So I welcome you, sir, again on this fourth day. I still remember yesterday I attended the whole session of yours, which was very enlightening. And in one word, I can say, sir, is Balakishore ji is the synonym for digital meditation in the modern age. So it is really very tough. So whatever tips he gave yesterday were really very, very inspiring. And I think all of us has made some small resolution yesterday after hearing his lecture on digital wellness. So, and really, I am very thankful, Balakishore ji, for sharing the precise, accurate, reliable, authentic information in terms of sharing his websites, links. That was really very important. Immediately after the session, I served a couple of things through internet, not just to confirm, but to enhance, for my satisfaction. Yes, what else? But more is there, so that I can also share with my students and family as such. So, sir, I have also made some resolution. Today morning, since morning, all the notifications are off, and for last 2 hours, I have not received any call. My wife is surprised. Early morning, what are you doing? I mean, you are not on phone, so this is a surprise for my wife also. So thanks a lot, sir. Your words were really very impressive, very relevant, very practical. So, sir needs no introduction, and rather I think will be all the audience is more eager to listen to his new topic, that is today sleep in the digital age. So this is also going to be very introspective topic, very learning topic. And the way he is giving small tips, I still remember whole lecture. I remember first time in my life. I'm very honest in sharing with you, Balakishore ji, and all audience. First time in my life I heard this word neuroplasticity. Now I can speak for 2 hours on this. So this is all because of you, sir. Thanks a lot. So I welcome you, sir. Please start the proceedings. Thank you.
Yesterday, because you're all associated with students and with internships, I have a suggestion. I was speaking with Chitra Ben yesterday. It's useful if you can incorporate two aspects on two topics, which Chitra Ben and the team will be able to deliver as a part of your induction for every student, every intern, every faculty. Incorporate two topics of 90 minutes each. One is on digital wellness, what we spoke yesterday. The second one is the importance of attention. Neither parents, nor teachers, nor students, it's unfortunate, are aware of the importance of being able to control our own mind. India, over the last thousands of years, is famous for understanding the mind and coming up with various sciences and techniques to be able to control our thought. Even yogasanas, which we think are only for body, were originally designed or invented so that this body does not disturb the mind. So that once the body is strong, then I can focus on the process of self-realization. Unfortunately, in the post-independence education, all that we learned developed over the course of thousands of years completely got eliminated from our education system. And I'm glad you started that lab, whether it is Raj Yoga Thought Lab or the SQ lab that you have begun. These are essential, but it's important that you make it mandatory for the students to go through these aspects as a part of their induction, so that even if a small portion of the student population finds it useful, we would have made a big difference. It's not that every student is dumb or stupid. The problem is they are not aware. Like what you mentioned about neuroplasticity. The- We, I'm sorry to say, but we got used to teaching this Gisapita knowledge, repeating the same old stuff, not trying to enhance it as per the developments in the world outside and as per the knowledge of our own culture. So when we start incorporating, if you can include, and I'm willing to help. So this is my promise to you all. If you can incorporate a subject on mind sciences for every single student of every single stream of yours, whether it is humanities, whether it is medical, engineering, whatever is the topic, because we all have a mind, we all need to use the mind, and we all need to learn about the mind, which is practically zero in today's education. Neither parents know, nor teachers know, nor our kids know. When was the last time you are taught about maths, physics, chemistry, but never about thought, emotion, and feeling? Zero. And then we complain about students not listening, relationships getting broken, people suffering from low self-esteem. All these, the root cause is we never learnt or never taught about the power of our own thought. So your college, your university can be a pioneer if you can get the approval or get the necessary process, and I'm willing to help you. What topics we need to incorporate, what lecture material is needed, how we can plan the train the trainers program, that's my promise from you folks, for you folks. So it's now your choice. You can see if you can truly become path breaking in revolutionizing the education, one student at a time, one stream at a time, one college at a time. Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. We'll try to implement surely, surely. Even AICT has given the new, guidelines on this. There should be some value education, which was earlier formal, subject just for some credits or some like that, 2 credits. So, but really embarking and nurturing that value education system and really enhancing, the capacity of the individual in terms of, all these meditation practices, that will make a big difference. And I believe also that yes, of course, we are more worried about the IQ level of the students and family members and everybody in the society. And even companies are also looking for IQ, whether it is any company. But still now time is changed, and as you rightly, this whole FDP's theme is how to enhance the productivity through meditation. So these all meditation practices, small practices, will nurture definitely a good value education system in the students also. Thank you so much for your commitment, sir, and support. We look forward to you always. Thank you.
And a few months ago, when I was first introduced to your college, I made this suggestion. So I want to ask all the professors on the call from your college to start every class with 2 minutes of silence. How many of you are implementing it? Nothing to blame, but that is the simplest practice. And you will start seeing huge difference in how the students respond, how you will start the class, how they will receive it. You don't even have to bang your duster on the table. Just go there and stand. And it's so powerful. One of my own friends, he was a professor at an engineering college in Bangalore, and he also practices meditation like me. This is what he incorporated. He would never utter a word. He would just go and stand there. And in less than 2 minutes, the whole class would remain silent because that silence is so unsettling. Yaar, kuch to bolo, yaar, gussa to karo. No, he would just stand there and just look at them. So this is something I would sincerely request, suggest, advise, and encourage each one of you to start as a part of your classes. Very simple. Hardly takes 2 minutes in the beginning and 2 minutes in the end to sit and reflect what you spoke. Because there is a lot of repetition in our education system, but absolutely zero reflection. Absolutely zero reflection. If you can incorporate that as a part of every class, see the difference it makes. Last 10 minutes for 45 minutes class, 30 minutes is what you speak, 35 minutes. Last 10 minutes, ask the students for just sit in silence, review what they heard, and make notes. And if they have questions, you are there to answer in the last 5 minutes and see the difference it makes. I would love to hear your experiences, and any help and support you need, just let me know. Okay,
Sir,
good.
just one simple submission. Since you are heading the IT wing of that Raj Yoga centers, so I'm also IT professional. So is there any kind of internship opportunity available in those areas so that students can learn both the things, spirituality as well as IT stuff also
Yeah, we
blended? Yeah,
absolutely we are open. We can have a conversation.
right.
You can have my email ID from Chitraban, and we can get connected.
Right, sir.
Absolutely.
Because
Yes.
nowadays there is a lot of craze and a lot of appetite of service attitude in the students are going for NGOs, going for I mean some other practices. So they have that kind of a social inclination, so this is the right environment through
We'll
internships,
do that.
and that's too in this area of meditation and spirituality they will benefit. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sure.
Please start, sir, please.
Good. So let's begin with a couple of minutes of relaxation, because we've spoken a lot. So sit straight. Have your back well supported. Don't fold your arms. Don't fold your legs. And take a deep breath. Breathe deeply and slowly. As you breathe in, observe the muscles of your stomach expand. As you breathe out, observe the muscles of your stomach contract. Breathe deeply and slowly. Even if your mind goes elsewhere, acknowledge the thought, ignore it, and gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Let go of any tension in any part of your body and relax yourself. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. Gently open your eyes. Thank you. Good. So how many of you remember the summary slide that we discussed yesterday? Go ahead. Yes. So about attention as a part of digital wellness, what did we discuss? What is a simple principle? For attention, what did we say? Yeah, go ahead. Deepak ji, boliye.
Thank you, sir. So, sir, you told that we cannot concentrate for more than 20 seconds on a particular thought. If we can somehow, I mean, there is an urge for first 20 seconds, it is very strong. If we somehow engage our, mind in coming back to the main focus, so that urge will decrease and it will, so this kind of things. So I understood this thing.
Very good. So good. Shalini gave that. Yeah, Vijay is also talking. Distract less, focus more. That's the principle for attention. Distract less, focus more. Very good. About mobile, what did we say? Yes, very good. Mobile, we said use less. Otherwise, you will become useless. So you have a choice. If you want to become useful, then you use your mobile less. About food, what did we say? Very good. Eat right, eat slow, eat less. Eat right, eat slow, eat less. Very important.
The timing is also important, as you mentioned. In no
Yes.
late night pizzas, means after 7 o'clock sunset. So we should avoid.
Correct. That is why in Ayurveda we have 3 simple principles of food. You may want to make a note and reflect. That's why I keep going back to our culture. Hita Bhojanam. First principle about food in Ayurveda is Hita Bhojanam. Hita means that which does good to your body and mind. So do not consume anything that will not do good for your body or mind. Goom firke, the whole Western research is coming there only. So the first principle is Hita Bhojanam. The second principle is Mita Bhojanam. Don't stuff your stomach too much. You have to eat only up to half of your stomach. The other 1/4 is water, the other 1/4 is air. That means it's empty. So it is called mitabhojanam. And don't snack in between a lot of times. Okay. And preferably, if you can train your stomach, it's wonderful. If you can have only twice a day. Okay. Yeah. As Devashi is saying, if you eat, continue to, if you eat food like medicine, not very less, but just enough, then there is no need to eat medicine like food during breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Good one. So one is hita bhojanam, the other one is mita bhojanam, the third one is kala bhojanam. Do eat at the appropriate points of time. And there are many principles. Not eating too late, not eating when you are not hungry. So all these principles come. All these three are beautifully incorporated in those three simple principles. What are they? Yeah, go ahead, unmute and speak. Yeah,
First is sir hit bhojanam,
correct.
then mit bhojanam, and then kal bhojanam.
That's it. If we can sit and reflect, we'll get some really good insights about food. Then we talked about exercise. So about exercise, what did we say? What is a simple principle? Yes. Sit less, move more. Very, very important. And what exercise does, because there may be many physical instructors also on the call, what exercise does is it helps the brain to release a hormone called brain derived neurotropic factor. It's called BDNF. And BDNF serves as manure for our neurons. It will keep our brains healthy late into our life. And it helps us to pay attention, focus more, and it also helps in this wonderful property of the brain called neurogenesis. Every day until we die, irrespective of our age, brain is generating new neurons. And those neurons are put to use based on your predominant activity that you are doing at that time. If your predominant activity is checking mobile and surfing internet, and as we discussed yesterday, brain says tatasu. It will send the neurons to do that activity more easily. But if you are engaged in learning a new language, in learning math, then brain will say tatastu and it will send these neurons as additional soldiers to help you move forward in that particular positive activity. So that is the beauty of neurogenesis. And that is what exercise helps us. You can read on the internet, there's lots of material that's present on BDNF. That's the hormone. You can search as BDNF or brain derived neurotropic factor. That's the full form of BDNF. So that was about exercise. And about sleep, what did we say? Very good. Sleep deep, sleep enough. And why is that? We will explore that topic in a lot more detail today. And about meditation, what are the three principles? Yes, very good. Think less is only one. What else? Very good. Think
Think
less.
less, think
Go
slow,
ahead.
and think
Yeah,
better.
excellent. Very simple. Nothing complicated. Think less, think slow, think better. Three simple principles that summarize the complete science of mind management. आप कितने भी टेक्निक्स कर लो, कितना भी मेडिटेशन सीख लो, कितने भी बुक्स पढ़ लो, फाइनली यू विल अराइव एट दीस थ्री ओनली. Think slow, think less, think better. And that is when your life is going to become really, really happy and healthy. Okay, wonderful. I'm glad You remember? Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir. Before you
नहीं
start,
बोलिए.
just uh, we can all learn all these things, like especially like eating habits, sleeping habits from our surroundings, natural surroundings. That is all these small creatures, animals, all they do like this only. So every day you go to cow feed to feed some cows
इसलिए
and some
इसलिए
dogs.
आपको कभी भी ओबीस काउस या ओबीस डॉग्स नहीं मिलते हैं.
Yeah.
या तो काउ
Yes.
मिलता है
Yes.
या तो
Very
डॉग
true.
मिलता है. ओबीस बफेलोस भी नहीं मिलेंगे आपको.
Yes.
It's only human beings who become obese.
Yeah. There is a
Absolutely right.
big endless desires we have for accumulation, so that is a way to hell. And the
Absolutely.
statistics also say that people are not dying of hunger, but they are dying of obesity, means they're taking this kind of stuff. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Wonderful. So let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good. So what are we going to discuss in the next 60 or 65 minutes? Why is sleep essential? Many of us are not aware of it. There's a lot of ignorance related to sleep. And what actually happens inside the sleep? What happens to the body? What happens to the brain? We'll discuss that. And if we don't sleep properly, if we don't sleep enough, what is its impact on body and on brain? We will discuss in a little more detail. And like yesterday, we will also talk about some simple tips or techniques for better sleep. Because sleep is one of the biggest casualties in today's times. And the unfortunate part is, if we don't sleep properly and if we don't sleep enough, even though our performance is reduced, we get used to that lesser performance, never getting an opportunity to experience the kind of best performance that I am capable of. And our ego also doesn't allow us to accept and agree that I need to make some small changes in what I call, or what scientists call, as sleep hygiene. So we'll discuss that also today. So the simple questionnaire for all of you: go ahead, go through the 5 aspects and answer for yourself. You don't have to give me the answer, so you can be honest with yourself and give yourself the number of marks that are given on the top. So 5 aspects. Just go through it and then give those marks for each of those 5 elements and simply add up, because maximum is 10, the minimum is 0. So check for yourself what your count is. You don't have to share with me. This is just for you. Done? Very good. So this is a very, very simple questionnaire that gives you 5 aspects about sleep. And the higher the score, the better is your sleep. That's why I said you don't have to announce those numbers to me. You be honest with yourself and check for yourself. Then you will start knowing which is the area that you need to improve upon. Very good. So why is sleep essential? Let's go in a little more detail, because this is going to set the context for today's conversation. Sleep enriches our ability to learn, memorize, and make logical decisions and choices. Very, very important. Take your own personal experience. when you haven't slept properly, especially if you are a new parent and this is the first time you have the kid, your first kid, and the kid doesn't allow you to sleep at nights, and then next day morning you have to go to office, check yourself. Are you calm, composed, or are you irritable? And sometimes if you haven't slept properly and the next day if somebody says something, जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना कि हमारी फ्यूज जल्दी उड़ जाती है, because our tolerance level is completely reduced because you haven't slept enough. And what sleep does is something really beautiful. What latest research shows is, if you want to memorize and remember the things that you have read, then always incorporate one night's sleep in between. Because when you read through the day and you have a good night's sleep, all those concepts that you have learned, they will be transferred from your short-term memory to long-term memory, what we call as hippocampus, and from hippocampus to prefrontal cortex, that is this part of the brain. So that's why, and that's why it's very important that if you want to learn a subject properly, you plan your sleep also accordingly. Food, sleep, and our conduct. And this is what in Ayurveda we call it as Trayopastambha. Three most important things for a healthy life are food, sleep, and brahmacharya. Very interesting. What our rishis and munis have discovered thousands of years ago, and now we are coming back to it. So if you want to learn any subject properly, make sure that your food and your sleep are proper, because sleep enriches that ability to learn, to memorize, and make logical decisions and choices. There's quite a bit of material that's available. I'll share that with Chitra Ben so that she can send it with all of you, and you can start going through that, or it's available even on the internet. One of the best websites that you can look at is National Sleep Foundation of US. It's a part of CDC, Centers for Disease Control in US, or National Institutes of Health. National Sleep Foundation. You'll get plain loads of material on this particular website. And sleep recalibrates our emotional brain circuits, thus benevolently servicing our psychological health. Very, very important. If you are going through some kind of emotional disturbance, you check for yourself. Previous day, if something emotionally disturbing happened and you were able to have a good night's sleep, next day when you wake up, the impact of the previous day's emotions has actually reduced a lot. Because brain, the sleep has a wonderful impact on calming down our emotions, and sleep serving as service of our psychological health. Like a machine or a scooter or car, you will in between once in a while get it serviced. Yes or no? What happens if you don't service it? It'll get spoiled. It'll start making noises. Sleep is also that kind of servicing we provide to our mind every day. And sleep through dreams melts past and present knowledge, inspiring creativity. And those of you who studied chemistry, you must have learnt about Kekulé, the chemist who discovered or proposed the carbon ring structure. He was struggling with C6H6, the benzene structure. And there was no way on God's earth at that point of time he could think. He knew it is C6H6, but how carbon and hydrogen are related to each other, what kind of bonds they form, he was not able to come up with it. For days he struggled. And one day in his sleep, he saw a snake, with that snake putting its tail in its mouth and creating the circle, which never struck him. And when he placed all those 12 atoms, 6 carbon and 6 hydrogen atoms in the form of a circle, the hexagon, he got it. He said, that's the structure. That's the structure of benzene. So sleep through dreams melts past and present knowledge. It inspires creativity. Very essential. Now, this does not mean, as one student, he, in a humorous way, he told Abdul Kalam, well, Abdul Kalam says, dream, dream, dream. So the student got up and said, Abdul Kalam said, dream, dream, dream. So let me go back to sleep. That's not what we mean here. And there is an extremely important relationship between sleep and our immune system. Because sleep restocks the harmony of our immune system, helping fight malignancy, prevent infection, and warding off all manner of sickness. Take this simple example. When you feel sick, do you feel like getting up and dancing or going and sleeping? Taking rest. You feel like taking rest, sleeping. Because that is body's way to signal that I have something else to do. You better allow me to do that, rather than diverting my energy to doing something else. So if you don't sleep properly, it can even impact your immune system. And if you are recovering, whether it is from COVID, from fever, or from any other disease, make sure that you give enough rest to your body. Don't be excited, and do not, I repeat, do not try to reduce the amount of time you are giving rest to your body. Very important. And another interesting point about sleep is it reforms the body's metabolic state by fine-tuning balance of insulin and circulating glucose. It means even if you haven't slept properly for a few days, that can throw your glucose balance or circulating glucose numbers inside your body haywire. It can increase the glucose that is circulating in your blood. Because sleep has this wonderful capacity to fine tune our metabolic state. So if you are not sleeping properly, it's a good sign that you are prone sooner or later to diabetes for a long period of time. If it happens for a few days, that's okay. But for a long period of time, if you're not able to sleep properly, then that's a very good signal. And adequate sleep is intimately tied to the fitness of our cardiovascular system. In a minute, I will explain what it means by lowering blood pressure while keeping our hearts in fine condition. So in simple terms, sleep impacts cardiovascular, metabolic, immune, and reproductive systems. Every single system of our body is impacted by sleep. That's why if anyone amongst you is a type A personality who feels that there is so much to do and this sleep is a useless distraction in my life, don't get carried away, because you are spoiling your health. And do not also listen to many of these WhatsApp forwards that come, or this Swamiji speaking, that Swamiji speaking, saying 3 hours is enough, 2 hours is enough, 4 hours is enough. We will discuss that as a part of Q&A, but don't fall into all those kind of false information, which is to a large extent not applicable to normal people like us who lead simple day-to-day life. We'll come back to that in the Q&A section. So every 90 minutes, typically in the sleep cycle that we have, 6 to 8 hours of sleep that we need, we go through in the steps of 90 minutes. So we either get 4 cycles or 5 cycles, depending on how much time we sleep. And in each cycle of 90 to 110 minutes, there are 4 stages. So there is stage 1 is light sleep, where your muscle, brain, and eye activity decreases. Stage 2 is eye movement and muscle activity stop, brain waves slow down. And in stage 3, this is the start of NREM, non-rapid eye movement, it's what it's called. Then in stage 3, you go into even more deeper sleep. Brain produces very slow delta waves, and sleeper may be disoriented if wakened. And stage 4 is REM sleep. REM means rapid eye movement. Heart, breathing, and blood pressure rise. Body is paralyzed, and this is the stage of our dreams. And stage 2 and stage 3, what we call as NREM states, are the ones that help your body and mind to relax and get refreshed. That is why if you have a good night's sleep, next day morning when you wake up, you feel energetic, you feel fresh. And for whatever reason, if you had to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning to pick up somebody from the airport or from the railway station in the pre-COVID times, you see how your day gets disturbed, because if you are able to catch up with your sleep, it's okay. But if you are not able to, that whole day, you won't be able to perform well because your sleep got disturbed. And all these 4 stages are critical because every stage has its own importance. And if you are one of those, for simple reasons, you pop sleeping pills, then it is these stages that get disturbed. That's why if you ask anyone who takes sleeping pills, they will tell you once they wake up, they don't feel fresh, because only when you go through these natural stages do you get up refreshed. Now you see here in a little more detail of how sleep's 5 stages, 5 cycles, either 4 or 5. It's between 6 to 8 hours is what we call, and each cycle is 90 minutes. So in the first stage, you have not first cycle, each cycle also has these 6 stages. So you see this is one cycle of 90 minutes, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 stages is what we have. Each cycle has 6 stages. The amount of time we spend in each stage differs depending on which cycle you are. That's why if you see in the first 2 cycles, you will have the slowest and deepest sleep. And then slowly, as you move towards your waking times, slowly that deep sleep becomes shallow and shallow. So when you are awake and relaxed like this at this point of time, hopefully you are relaxed and hopefully you are awake, brain releases alpha waves. This is what we call as state of relaxation. And the second stage, that when you start sleeping, that next step is rapid eye movement, that stage 4 that we talked about. Rapid brain activity interrupts the cycle. NREM 1, NREM 2, NREM 3, and NREM 4 all form a part of stage 2 and stage 3 sleep that we saw here. Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and then REM. So this is your stage 1. This is your stage 1 that we talked about, the light sleep. Then progressively you will move inside, and then REM, and then you go back to the stage 1 for the next cycle. That is how this whole cycle keeps repeating every 90 to 110 minutes. Very important. And typically when we sleep, a healthy sleep latency exists for us, and that is about 15 to 20 minutes. You don't fall asleep as soon as you sleep. It will take a few minutes. But if any one of you is falling asleep immediately, that's also okay. But in general, scientists say that means you are exhausting yourself too much. But typically, we will take those few minutes, and that's what we call as the sleep latency. And then you go through all these different stages. So it's very important to understand what happens to us inside the sleep and what kind of stages are the brain and mind going through. And it also, another very interesting and important aspect is what kind of role brain and its associated structures play. There's a very small grouping of neurons. It's called as a suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is like the timekeeper inside our brain. And this works based on the exposure to sunlight. Our sleep and wake timings are governed by the actions of the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So there are many other parts of the brain that and body this SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus, influences. I won't go into the details. I'll share the slide deck. And in the website, if you have visited yesterday, the digital wellness website has this slide deck already uploaded. You can download it and then read about it. And the most important element that we need to learn about is the sleep hormone melatonin. So if we spend too much time in the artificial light late in the night, then or spend too much time in front of our screens, this melatonin, which is called a sleep hormone, that melatonin secretion gets delayed and we won't be able to sleep easily. That is why yesterday it was suggested that for 1 hour before you sleep, do not stare at any screen. The neuroscience behind it is, if you stare at your screen, then the light from the screen disturbs the melatonin production, and if melatonin is not released, your body will not relax, and if your body doesn't relax, you won't be able to fall asleep. Now, this is another very interesting way sleep researchers call. There are two processes that are simultaneously going on inside our body. One is sleep wake drive called circadian rhythm, which follows the sunlight. Okay. And it typically continues like this forever as long as we are alive. And there is also this desire to sleep. So, right from morning 7 a.m., from the time you wake up, okay, which is where your desire to sleep is at its lowest because you just woke up, it keeps increasing, and this is your wake drive. So at around 11 p.m., if you are a normal person and you are not working in shifts, towards the end we will talk about shift workers, but for now, if you're a normal person working during normal daytime, then around 11 p.m. is when typically, statistically, you will start having that intense urge to sleep, because that is when there is a greatest distance between the sleep drive and wake drive, because that is where the sleep drive is highest and the wake drive, that is the desire to stay awake, is lowest. And all through the night, if you see, again this wake drive is increasing, and all through the day this wake drive keeps decreasing until it reaches 11 p.m. And this is what gets disturbed, because this cycle is continuing as is, but the process S is what gets disturbed due to jet lag. Okay, because this is what is continuing on its own based on your previous geography from where you took off. So you see, this is the sleep period when your desire to sleep is highest and desire to stay awake is lowest. And this is our wakeful period where the desire to stay awake is highest and the desire to stay to sleep is lowest. So how these desire to sleep and the desire to stay awake, how do they interact, is beautifully captured here. And typically, many people keep asking, what is the right amount of sleep time? So these are the ranges, just you can go through them. And this is again, that's why it's given as a range, because statistically, some people require less sleep, some people require more sleep, even within the same band. Now, do you see here this particular row? I want you to see these two rows and these three rows actually: preschoolers, school age children, and teenagers. Unfortunately, our education system, where the schools start so early in the morning, we do not allow our kids to have that good night's sleep. That is why many of you as parents would have seen how your parent, your kid, you have to wash them, you have to brush their teeth while they are still half asleep. You have to give them a bath while they are still half asleep. You even have to feed breakfast while they are still dozing off. This is a great disservice our school systems are doing on our little kids, poor fellows. And by shifting the starting of the school by 1 hour, just by 1 hour, in US they have done this experiment. Just by shifting the school time, instead of 8 a.m. or 8:30, they started starting at 9:30 or 10, and they saw a huge drop in attention deficit problems that the kids face. It is because of lack of sleep that the kids were not able to pay attention in the class. But the poor teacher, because of her ignorance, she started thinking kids don't pay attention and started complaining the parents. But when the kids are allowed to complete their sleep cycle properly, you will see that their performance shoots up drastically. So it's very interesting. And those of you who are educators, those of you who run schools, colleges, it's important that you understand this and accordingly shift the school timings. Now, here it gives little more details. These are the left side blue ones are the ones that are appropriate. That means even if it is little less than the recommended range, recommended means this is the number that is observed in maximum number, that is more than 70% or 80% of the people in the population. So from there, these numbers are given. Okay, this is what is recommended. But if you are sleeping a little less, which is falling in this zone, and you are still be able to be alert and you are not falling asleep during the day, it is okay. But anything, and for some of us, we might sleep a little longer, the next blue line, that is also okay. But anything beyond that, it's not going to help much. So you can go through this, spend a couple of minutes, and then try to see where you stand, where your kid stands, and where your parents stand. And as you see, as we age, the number of hours that we sleep reduces. Good. Now let's go into little more detail about what are the effects of sleep deprivation on different organ systems of our body, and what is the reason behind it, what is the science behind it. More than 20 large scale epidemiological studies have tracked millions of people over many decades. Epidemiological study means, like, currently we are doing these COVID vaccination. So what are the long-term impacts of this vaccination, or for how long are antibodies there inside our body after we take vaccination? When you do that survey over lakhs of people all over India and carry it through many more years, that large scale surveys which we survey good amount of population is what we call as an epidemiological study, in order to explore the impact of various factors on different aspects of our health. So, and they collect lot of information as a part of that research. So from 20 such large scale epidemiological studies that have been conducted in different parts of the world, which have tracked millions of people over many decades, not 1-2 year, every few months, based on the kind of project they have designed or the research they have designed, they will come back to you and they will ask you to fill up a set of questionnaires. And all these questionnaires of millions of people are collected, and they are analyzed for patterns. And this is one of the patterns that they observed. The shorter you sleep, the shorter you live. Very simple. And those who sleep 6 or less hours daily, adults basically, working adults like us, they have 45% more risk of developing heart attack. Why does this happen? And adults 45 years or older who sleep fewer than 6 hours a night are 200% more likely to have a heart attack or stroke during their lifetime as compared to those sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night. Again, I am repeating, if you are used to sleeping 6 hours and you are able to be completely fresh and you never feel drowsy and you feel energetic, then you are a part of those less than 5% people in the population who need less sleep. But majority of us would need a minimum of 6 hours of sleep every night. And why does this happen? Because if we sleep less, our coronary arteries, they start getting calcified. Calcified means these metabolic waste starts accumulating inside the arteries and the blood flow gets restricted. And that is how, if that restriction happens in your heart arteries, you will get heart attack. If that restriction of the blood vessels happens inside your brain, you will get stroke. So the reason is calcification of those coronary arteries. And sleep loss can also increase the risk of diabetes and obesity. How does that happen? They have sleeping less, those sleeping less than 6 hours routinely have higher risk of developing diabetes. And sleep deprivation, how it happens is because sleep deprivation increases insulin resistance. Insulin resistance means, in simple terms, insulin is like a key. And imagine sugar molecules, they are floating inside your blood. After you have eaten, after it got digested, finally it gets converted into glucose. And those glucose molecules are circulating inside your blood. And when insulin goes and then opens the lock of our cell, okay, each cell is like, you can assume that it is like a big locker, and insulin is like the key. So when the key goes and opens the locker of our cell, all this glucose, it starts entering into the cell, because glucose should not stay in the blood. Higher levels of glucose inside the blood is not good for the body. It needs to go into the cell and it should be converted into energy. If that insulin is not produced enough, and if the produced insulin is not opening the lock of that locker of the cell so that the glucose can get inside the blood, from the blood into the cells, both ways it's called as this insulin resistance. And sleep deprivation increases that insulin resistance. That means that key of insulin is not able to open the lock of the cell properly. And this is another very interesting part. When you don't sleep enough, for those of you, you must have seen, if you stay awake a lot in the night, you will also start feeling more hungry. Why does that happen? Because sleep impacts the release of these two hormones. There is a hormone called leptin that is released by the body, which signals fullness. That's why after you have had a good breakfast or a good lunch, this is the hormone of satiety, where this signal, this hormone tells the brain, and the brain sends this signal to you saying that enough. हो गया अभी, अच्छा हुआ, खा लिया, 3 गुलाब जामुन हो गए, अभी चौथा नहीं खा पाओगे, because it's full now. Now that is what leptin does. And ghrelin is another hormone which is opposite to it, which signals hunger. So if I continue these talks, if they are continued beyond 1:30 and even up to 2, then you will start, your ghrelin will start signaling that yaar abhi bahut ho gaya, now I'm not able to focus, let me switch off my video, go eat something and come back. And when you are sleep deprived and you are not sleeping properly, it has a double whammy. It increases ghrelin, it decreases leptin. That's what happens. It decreases leptin and increases ghrelin. And this is the interesting part. It is nothing to do with you having eaten then. even if you have eaten, because your hormonal secretion is gone upside down, your brain is sending a wrong signal to you. So even if your stomach is full, you are still feeling hungry. That is why sleep deprived body will cry famine in the midst of plenty. It's not that you didn't eat, you ate, but still you are feeling hungry. And you feel that, and you feel like eating those sweets. In a minute, we will discuss about the relationship between food and sleep. And this is what causes all these problems of diabetes and obesity. And the interesting part is, if you are dieting and you are not sleeping properly, instead of burning your fat, your diet will burn your muscle. So be very, very careful. And this is what research very clearly shows. Dieting without proper sleep will start burning your muscle mass and make you weak rather than burning the fat. Now, let's see the relationship between sleep loss and immunity. Sleep restores immune system activity and helps fight infections better. As soon as something invades our body, as soon as we fall sick, we feel like taking rest, because that is a beautiful method that nature has devised, so that when we take rest, our immune system can take over and then it can repair the body. And for that, you need to take proper rest and sleep. And immune system activates sleep system when we fall sick, as we just discussed. And sleep loss reduces immunity and makes the person more susceptible to infections. And the interesting part is, it also increases inflammation inside the body and contributes to development of cancer. So if you are not able to sleep for a few weeks because of your project, or for a few days because of your project, we are not discussing about those. So please don't panic. What we are talking about is long-term sleep deprivation. Now, there's another very interesting. Alzheimer's disease is what you get usually during old age, when beta amyloid plaque. So this is the metabolic waste that brain generates as a result of our metabolism. Early in the morning, the way you empty your bowels, the empty your stomach, because that is a metabolic waste that got generated by the body based on all the actions that you have done in the previous day, including your eating, digesting, working, because body is also a wonderful chemical factory. And at the end of the day, after all that processing, all this waste gets generated. So waste gets generated inside the brain and waste gets generated inside the body. The important part is, the waste that is generated inside the body gets eliminated when we pass our stool or urine in the morning or during the day. But the waste that is generated inside the brain, that is what we call as beta amyloid plaque. Okay. And brain's plumbing system gets activated only in deep sleep. That's how nature has designed it. So when you sleep deeply, during that NREM state that you saw, during that deep sleep stage, that is when brain's plumbing system becomes active and it removes the metabolic waste of beta amyloid plaque. And what Alzheimer's does is it erodes that deep sleep. And when that deep sleep is eroded, the glymphatic system, which is the brain's own plumbing system or expulsion system, that gets deactivated because of Alzheimer's. So you see this glymphatic system most active during NREM stage of sleep. That is, it increases its activity 10 to 20 times more. So getting too little sleep across adult life will significantly raise your risk of Alzheimer's disease. Why is that? Because if you don't sleep properly and every day you are sleep deprived, and this continues for years together during your adult life, because you are so busy driving things, so busy achieving, so busy climbing up the ladder, you don't even have proper time to sleep. Then because you are not sleeping deep, this glymphatic system, which is the brain's own plumbing or expulsion system, this is not activated properly. When this is not activated properly, the metabolic waste that gets generated inside the brain is not removed from the brain, and it starts accumulating, and that is what becomes the plaque. And when it starts getting accumulated, the result is Alzheimer's. So you see how sleep deprivation can also lead to Alzheimer's in addition to other reasons. Now, just sit back and go through all these impacts on different parts of our body and brain, what sleep deprivation does to us. Just go through it. Now, keeping this in front of you, ask yourself a simple question. Is that video on the WhatsApp or on YouTube or on Insta or on your Facebook more important to watch than than sleeping and taking care of your body? Is that message so important that you have to respond to it then and there? You have to read it until the last minute you doze off, or you need to sleep properly and take care of your physical and mental health? Ask yourself, because these are all the problems that sooner or later almost all the mobile and internet addicts will suffer, because they are not sleeping enough. So every time you want to spend more time on your mobile late in the night, put this picture, take a print, put this picture in your bedroom and look at this picture and then ask a question. वो जरूरी है या ये जरूरी है? And you will automatically get the answer. And it's shown here. You are seeing these two lines. Okay, number of hours that you stay awake and the blood alcohol concentration. So if you stay awake continuously, okay, and you don't sleep, you see how the performance itself degrades and how the blood alcohol concentration in most countries, legal limit for driving is between 0.05 and 0.08. Okay, so this is the limit in which beyond this you will not be allowed to drive. This is what is considered as drunken driving. So when you see police fellows trying to put that machine inside your mouth and then check whether you are drunk or not, this is the concentration they are checking. And now if you see, you will reach the same levels of concentration if you haven't slept enough. That is why those of you, if you are going on a long tour, it's advisable to have more than one driver so that each driver gets proper rest. And here we cannot become machismo and then try to say कि मैं कर सकता हूँ, मुझे कुछ नहीं होने वाला, because most of the accidents on Indian roads, you might be thinking they will happen at late night. They don't happen at late night. They happen during between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. That is when, again, as you saw, when the sleep drive is highest, because you continuously kept postponing. And instead of sleeping, that is when you will get into these phases of micro sleep. That is when you will fall asleep for a few seconds, but you don't know what you're doing. And that's when most number of accidents happen. So average amount of sleep, okay, how it is reducing over the period of time, and the obesity of the individuals, how it is increasing, you can see the curve. As the amount of sleep continues to reduce, the number of obese individuals continues to increase. We are not saying sleep is the only cause, but sleep is one of the important causes of obesity. Now, let's explore in a little more detail about how light impacts our sleep. And why we had this rule yesterday, or this suggestion yesterday, that at least don't stay awake until late in the night, and don't get glued to your screen at least for an hour before you sleep. Why did we have that? You will understand it from this particular part of the presentation. So here is where we will discuss a little more about this sleep hormone called melatonin. So melatonin is a hormone that is secreted by the brain as it starts getting dark outside. The suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN that you saw a few minutes before, it sends a signal to the brain saying, now you can start releasing melatonin. And the brain starts releasing melatonin hormone. And melatonin is like a messenger which starts informing the rest of the systems of the body saying, now you relax, it is time to sleep. So you will start, all the bodily systems will start slowing down. That is why for those of us who sleep early and wake up early, you are not active after a certain period of time late in the night, because your body wants to take rest and your mind also wants to take rest and you want to fall asleep. Why? Because the melatonin's secretion is highest during this period. Because the higher the secretion of melatonin, the more is your body and brain trying to relax so that you can fall asleep. Fascinating stuff of how there are so many feedback mechanisms that are built into our body. And what happens is, if you see here, this each of this curve, this white curve that you are seeing, is the opposite of melatonin secretion. Opposite means melatonin inhibition curve. You can call this as melatonin inhibition curve. And inside the daylight, you will have all sorts of frequencies. Okay. On the low energy bulb, these are the frequencies. And on your computer screen or your mobile screen, these are the frequencies. If you see here, compared with the other frequencies, other colors, blue light has the highest amount of melatonin inhibition effect. Please try to understand, it's a little bit tricky here. Blue light inhibits the melatonin highest, and red light inhibits the melatonin lowest. So what this means is, as it is getting darker and darker, and as it is becoming more and more into the night, the more you are exposed to screens, the more you are exposing your brain to blue light, because the screens they emit lot of this blue light. And higher the blue light means higher the inhibition effect of melatonin. That means lesser the melatonin that is secreted. Lesser the melatonin secretion means the longer you will take to fall asleep. Ask yourself, before you started using mobile phones, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, when was the time of your sleeping? And after you started using mobiles, when is the time that you fall asleep? And before starting your mobile usage many years ago, how soon you were falling asleep? And today, how soon do you fall asleep? You will get the answer in terms of your own personal experience of how our screens are impacting our sleep negatively. Okay. And as the sun becomes in during the daytime, it starts increasing the blue component. But as it starts getting darker and darker, the other colors will increase. Now, what we can do is we can install apps which can reduce this blue glare from our screens and mobiles, both on our laptops as well as in our mobiles. These are the two apps that I currently use. This is called Just Get Flux. Both are free apps. So as it becomes 6 p.m., in the evening, 6 p.m. till 8 a.m. in the morning, irrespective of the season, because of this app, my screen turns orangish yellow, so that the blue component from the screen light is eliminated, and it will have less impact on my eyes, on my brain, and on my sleep. And similarly for my mobile, this is also a free app called Twilight app. You can set it so that as soon as time hits 6, this app covers the screen with an orangish yellow tinge of color, so that it might look a little dark, but its impact on your melatonin secretion is also reduced, and its impact on your eyes is also reduced. So these are the two apps that you can use. These both are free apps. Now, how does food impact sleep? Most of us don't know this, but only thing that we know is, if mummy had made a very good dish and I ate up till my neck, I don't feel like working, because I want to just go and take rest, go sleep. And that's what happens when I go to school in the first hour itself, where I'm trying to doze off. And what kind of food should be consumed, what kind of food should not be consumed? Yesterday in digital wellness, we saw that which is processed and where a lot of chemicals are added, that food is not good for your mental health. And today, that same processed food is also not good for your sleep, because sleep deprivation increases hunger and craving for sugars and simple carbs. That's why if you don't sleep properly and you continue to stay awake at night, the chances are you, because your brain craves for more sweet, you will eat more, you will consume more sugars, and you will become overweight and obese. And eating diet high in sugar, saturated fat, and processed carbohydrates. Processed carbohydrates means your maida, pizza, and all your kurkure, lays, all this stuff that can disrupt your sleep. But eating plant-based foods rich in fiber and foods high in unsaturated fat, like nuts, olive oil, avocados, they can promote sound sleep. What it says is, the traditional food full of fresh vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts, and fruits is good for your mental health and for all aspects of your physical health, including sleep. Eating junk food, eating the food that is ordered outside, is absolutely no, whether it is for your mental health or for your physical health or for your sleep. So now let's spend some time in going through what are the ways, simple changes, lifestyle changes we can make that can help us in sleeping well. Good. Very important. Maintain regularity. Sleep and wake up at same time every day, a few minutes here and there, whether it is weekend or weekday. And like we saw yesterday, stay away from screen at least for an hour before you sleep, and reduce the amount of lighting in the evenings. Unfortunately, our streets and also with these white LED bulbs, it's wreaking havoc on our sleep cycles. So don't use these bright LEDs in your bedrooms. Reduce the amount of lighting you expose yourself to in the evenings, and keep the room cool around, it can even be 23, 24 is also okay. It doesn't have to be 18 or 20 degrees, and make it radiation free, because the cooler the outside temperature, the cooler is your body temperature, and the cooler is your body temperature, the faster will you fall asleep. That is the equation, or that is a relationship. And do not excite your brain and mind at least 4 hours prior to sleeping. That means no alcohol, no smoking, and no coffee or tea, because both of them have half-life period of 4 hours. Okay, so that is why they will continue to impact your sleep and make you stay awake if you have this coffee or tea 4 hours before you sleep. And another very wrong thing that we do is, if we are not able to sleep, if you are struggling to sleep for 30-35 minutes and 40 minutes and still you're not falling asleep, just get out of your bed and do something else. Don't stay in the bed awake for too long. Because what happens is there is this interesting concept called neuro-associative conditioning. What it means is the principle is neurons that fire together will wire together. That means if you repeat a couple of tasks close to each other, brain will start associating those two tasks together. In simple terms, let me explain before we go to this waking and bed. In your college, when you are going to college, there is a particular road that you used to take from your home, and every day you used to play the same song while traveling on that road, and that ritual continued for many years. And after many years, after you moved out of college and you moved to a different city, when your spouse switched on that song, as soon as you listen to that song, immediately those memories of you walking on that road will come back rushing, because that road and that song, they got associated inside your brain because you were performing those two actions together. So that association is what we call as neuro-associative conditioning. Conditioning means something that you are repeating again and again. So if you stay awake on the bed, then your brain will start associating bed not with falling asleep, but with staying awake. That's why you're not supposed to do, other than sleeping, you're not supposed to do anything sitting inside your bed, sitting on your bed. This is a bad habit that we developed later. But whatever, if you are awake, you want to do something, just get out of your bed and then start doing that task. And once you finish it, you use your bed only for sleeping. So that as soon as you get onto the bed, this neuro-associative conditioning will activate that sleep circuit and you will start falling asleep. That's why if you are not able to sleep, don't continue to sit on the bed. And very important, make the room completely dark. You don't need any of these bulbs. And if you want to have that bed lamp, do not use a blue light. As you saw a few minutes ago, why that blue light is so bad. And even if you want to have a bed lamp, use a red one or an orangish tinge one, and use eye blinds. Because if you make the room completely dark, you will fall asleep much faster. And of course, very important, spend a few minutes meditating so that you can relax. And we already shared that relaxation tapes yesterday based on the Raj Yoga website URL that I have shared. And some more interesting things, do not exercise too late in the evening, like we discussed yesterday. Not at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., where you will see some of these gyms open and people trying to gym their way. Never do that, because exercise will excite your brain and body, and it will take so much more longer for you to fall asleep. And avoid large meals and beverages late at night. Very bad. And the stupid, I'm sorry I had to say stupid because it is indeed stupid, of this midnight biryani, which has become famous in some of the restaurants in Hyderabad. Don't ever subscribe to it. Because one day I was returning from another place. So I was driving back home from airport, and it was around 3 a.m. because I was coming from outside the country. And I saw this family with little kids walking into the hotel at 3 a.m. Which crazy parent would take their kids to have their dinner at 3 a.m.? So don't go against the natural rhythm and spoil your health. No horror movies, no thrillers, no web series. Because if you overstimulate your brain, it's going to take so much more longer for you to fall asleep. Take a hot bath before you go to bed. It's good because it reduces the temperature of your body, and reduced temperature, as you saw a few minutes ago, helps you to sleep more easily. Have good sleeping environment, no clutter. And another very interesting thing is, if you have good sunlight exposure during the day, then your night's sleep will also be good. And during COVID times, if you are stuffing yourself in a dimly lit room inside, in one corner, and not spending enough time in the sunlight, please stop that and then start spending more time outside, like we discussed yesterday about the green therapy. And now a little bit about the shift workers. Where possible, continue in the same shift at least for 4 weeks. There are some jobs where you have to shift every week. Either you quit or make your supervisor change your shift timings, because 4 weeks is a time where your sleep cycles will get adjusted, and that change in the sleep cycles will have less impact on the body. And very important, even during weekends, maintain the same sleep timings as if you are on shift, so that the body gets used to those sleep cycles rather than you constantly disturbing it. And just before your shift ends, the last 3 hours, you need to work not under white light, but under yellow or orange light, because that will start encouraging the secretion of melatonin by your brain. And by the time you go home, eat something, take a shower, the melatonin secretion would have peaked and you will be able to fall asleep more easily. And have plenty of exposure to sunlight in the afternoons, especially if you are working late night. And of course, the same one, make the room completely dark. Use eye blinds. Wonderful. So that's all I have for today. So let's step back, reflect for a few minutes before I open up for question and answers. Is that okay? Good. Sit back. Sit straight. Have your back well supported. Don't fold your arms. Don't fold your legs. Take a deep breath. Breathe deeply and slowly. As you breathe in, observe the muscles of your stomach expand. As you breathe out, observe the muscles of your stomach contract. Breathe slowly and deeply. Let go of any tension in any part of your body and relax yourself. As you relax, gently reflect on your own sleep cycles. Gently reflect on what all things you do, especially in the evenings and nights before you sleep. Don't judge, don't blame yourself, don't criticize, simply reflect. Think of one positive change that you can make to your sleep routine so that you can fall asleep earlier, faster, and deeper. One positive change in your routine. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. All of you must be sitting there for more than an hour now. So it's good time for us to stand up during the Q&A session. Let me also stand up. Yes, very good. Yes, any questions?
Participants, please, you may raise your hands and one by one we can take up questions. Amen in the chat box.
Yeah, Professor Sandeep ji is asking, could not sleep continuously means sleep 20 to 30 minutes, again awake, this pattern goes on. Sir, you need to check yourself in terms of what you are doing before you sleep, or if you are trying to worry about something. And without knowing your age and routine, I won't be able to comment. But one suggestion I can give is every day before you sleep, at least for a couple of hours, stop looking at your mobile or screen and spend at least 15 to 20 minutes listening to a guided commentary which Chitraban can share with you. And you do that meditation and then get into your sleep. This is something you might want to try. If it is still not happening and you are waking up very regularly during the night, you must speak with a sleep specialist. Old age family members, again, they are also addicted to mobiles, they are also addicted to screens. Make sure that you don't allow them to spend too much time on mobile or screen, and you engage them in a different manner. And if it is beyond a certain age, then you can ask your physician. He will be able to give some slight sleeping pills. And Sandeep ji, it is important that you also exercise. I don't know how much you exercise during the day, that you exercise at least 30 to 40 minutes every day and spend a couple of hours in sunlight, and make these small changes we discussed today, and see your sleep should definitely improve. Best timing for sleeping, Kiran, it depends on, there are two kinds of people. Again, this is very important. Maybe I will update my slide deck. We call them as larks, or we call them as owls. Larks means those who sleep early and wake up early. Owls means those who sleep late and wake up late. That's why I never talked about at what time you should sleep. I only talked about the amount, but not the exact time. So you check for yourself whether you are most comfortable and most energetic if you sleep early and wake up early, or you sleep late. Based on that, whatever time you have to wake up, subtract those 6 to 8 hours and then start sleeping early. Yes, Veerapaji, it's possible if you take a little water based on the kind of body that you have. If you take more water before you sleep, you may have to urinate in between and then you have to wake up. So it's better that you avoid taking that water based on your own experimentation. That's right. Oil lamp inside the bedroom, I would not suggest. Using some aromas is okay, because oil lamp produces a lot of soot and a lot of smell and smoke. So I would definitely not suggest an oil lamp inside the bedroom. Yes, early morning comments. That's what I said, Prasannaji. It's important for you to check whether you are an owl or you are a lark. Typically that is shifting. More and more people are becoming owls. But if you are a lark, then definitely waking up early and then studying is very, very good. Morning 4 a.m. wake up and again sleep, I had more headache, because you are splitting your time. This is what we call as biphasic sleep. If you are going to break your sleep and you haven't slept properly after breaking it, you will get headache. So if you want to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, make sure that you will at least get 6 hours of sleep before 4 a.m. That means you must sleep at least by 10 p.m. If you sleep at 11, 11:30 and then try to wake up at 4 a.m., you will definitely get headache. The meditation recording, I am sending the URL once again. Here, if you go to this website and you scroll down, you will see meditation recordings and you click that, it will take you to a Google Drive. Or let me share my, I think I showed you yesterday. So that's the URL. Thank you, Sakshidi. Thank you very much. Yeah, students preparing for competitive exams study overnight, very less sleep. Yeah, you study overnight because all through the year you haven't studied. That's okay. That is temporary. Don't worry about it. They will be able to recover that in the next few days. But if that is becoming more of a norm, it is better that you study properly all through the year rather than trying to stay awake. Yes, Vineet Kumar has raised their hands. Kushal, Aarti, please go ahead, unmute, and
Hello.
then you can switch on your video also if you're okay. Then I can see your smiling face. Go ahead.
हेलो सर, माई सेल्फ डॉक्टर अवनीश शर्मा। सर
जी
मेरा बच्चा छोटा है और
जी
वो डेली मैं रात को 1 बजे सोता हूँ और मुझे सुबह 6 बजे उठ के तैयार होकर कॉलेज जाना पड़ता है और मेरी नींद पूरी हो नहीं पाती है और पूरा दिन एकदम ऐसा रहता है जैसे बिल्कुल थका थका रहता हूँ। तो
करेक्ट
व्हाट कैन आई
करेक्ट।
डू?
नहीं, आप 1 बजे को क्यों सो रहे हैं? पहले क्यों नहीं
सर
सो सकते आप?
एक्चुअली क्या है, मैं और मेरे वाइफ एंड मेरा छोटा बच्चा है जो 1.5 साल का है। अब उसको
हाँ,
वो
वही
रात
तो
को
मैं,
6
हाँ,
बजे तक ही
तो
सोएगा, वो सोएगा ही नहीं है।
नहीं,
उसकी वजह से हम
आपको
दोनों डिस्टर्ब
दूसरे
रहते
रूम
हैं।
में, आपको दूसरे रूम में सोना चाहिए ताकि वीक में 3 दिन वो बच्चे को आपकी वाइफ संभाले, वीक में 3 दिन आप संभालो ताकि कम से कम 3 दिन आपको अच्छी नींद मिले। एंड सॉरी सर, दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ नेचर, आई डोंट हैव एनी आंसर, क्योंकि वो बच्चे की वो दैट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ ग्रोइंग अप, दैट्स व्हाट आई शेयर्ड इवन इन द बिगिनिंग of a new
यस
parents
सर।
or who are going through this. But it's important if you can catch up your sleep and go a little late, क्योंकि बच्चे
ओके
सुबह को ज्यादा सोते हैं तो उनके साथ आप अपना टाइमिंग, and if you can take for next few months, if you can speak with your professor, with your administration, and
यस
instead of waking up at 6, wake up at 8, you will be more relaxed. And you tell them, I will stay late in the office. अगर आपको चाहिए 6 बजे के बदले
नो
सुबह 10 बजे के बदले में, you try that. Okay,
नहीं सर,
that will help you.
मेरा जो इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज है, मुझे वहाँ सुबह 8:45 बजे रिपोर्ट करना होता है।
वही तो मैं कह रहा हूं, आप बात करो उनसे where there is a possibility, and it is always possible because it's just a matter of few months. ये
Yes.
changes हमें करने पड़ेंगे.
Host, please unmute Aarti Prakash, or let me try.
ओके
Yes, Aarti ji.
Namaskar, sir. Namaskar.
Namaste.
Sir, I'm Dr. Aarti Prakash Khare from Manav Rachna University, Faridabad. I have been listening this your lecture, or I can say suggestions, beautiful suggestions for everyone, I feel. And we are deprived of sleep at times, and as you said, micro sleep. It used to happen to me when I'm sleeping while moving in a vehicle, and I used to sleep for a fraction of second. I say gaadi yahan se yahan move hue, and I slept off, dozed off. So it was scary, actually. I used to get scared. But can I ask, like as you said, that at times if you get up at night, you don't be in the bed. I do that, but then I come and sit on the computer and I start working on making lecture or reading or something like that. But then that doesn't.
Yes, no screen.
Yeah, I know. And I wanted to ask whether you said that not heavy food or anything. Are there any special food or
Deepak ji, are
which
you
we
able to
can?
hear me, or you're also facing some problem with my
No, no,
connection?
I'm listening.
Yeah,
I'm hearing.
yeah, I'm able to hear that. So I'm just asking, is there any site or a link where we can check it out, whether which are the foods that aggravate or decrease the sleep, because in Ayurveda and in our Indian herbal, I can say a rich herbal we have. So few herbs or few food which aggravates or decrease the sleep. I would like to know that. Hello.
I think sir's connection is lost.
Sir is
Oh.
mute.
Okay, sir is on mute.
I'm sorry I got dropped off because of some
Yeah, yeah.
problem with my connection. So Aarti ji, I'm sorry, for most of the time I was not able to hear your question. In essence, can you please repeat?
Yeah,
Because one of the things that I heard you say is at night when you get up and you are not able to sleep, you sit in front of your computer. Now you heard from yesterday. Were you there yesterday?
yeah.
Very good. So club that and this today. One message is don't go to your screen.
Okay. Okay.
Simply take a book, preferably a boring book, and
Okay.
then start reading it.
Actually, and one more thing, I just in crux, I
See,
would say, I need to know the herbs or the food which aggravates or decrease the sleep. Is there any link, or you can just name it off, because there may be so many things.
no, I don't want to get into the area that I am not good at. So it is best that you speak with an Ayurvedic physician, and if you don't know anyone, you can speak with Chitra Ben. I will send the details of my own Ayurvedic physician with whom you can speak, and he's
Sure.
going to give you the proper details.
Okay. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Sir, with your permission, may we take the last question from Shravananji, because next session is planned at 12 o'clock and we'll give them a break for 10-15 minutes. The last question, although there are a lot of queries, so we can later on, all the participants can be in touch with the Professor Balakishore. Thank you. Shravananji.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Sir, my question is whether the dreams will come in the REM sleep and both in non-REM sleep.
They come only in REM sleep.
So dreams will not come in non-REM sleep.
No, they don't.
And second question is, during my sleep in the night for approximately for 6 to 8 hours, in between I wake up for nearly 10 times, and every time when I wake up, I remember a dream. So
yes.
So this is what kind of, it's a kind of disease or it's a disorder? I want to know.
See, if typically if you are waking up so many times, it's usually not good. Typically. But you check yourself, are you feeling energetic or are you feeling exhausted? Are you feeling fresh or are you feeling tired? Or are you feeling weak? Even for a few hours of a little bit of heavy work, you start feeling weak. These are all the signals that you need to look for yourself. And if you are waking up so many times, it is definitely not good. You might want to speak with your physician or speak with a good sleep specialist and try to see that you don't get up so many times, because it means you are not able to get into that deep sleep, and each time you are simply trying to get up, and that's not good.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Gopalji, and thank you so much, Ramananji. A last question from Kushal. He is requesting for last few minutes. Please, Kushal, go on. Last question.
Hello.
Yes,
Namaskaram,
Kushal,
Balakishore sir. Indeed, again, great session. So I just wanted to ask, you mentioned about the neurons and the association of the two close activities that we do. And I just want to know that if I want to unlearn something, like there are a lot of information we are consuming these days and which stays relevant for a particular time, but for a longer time, and it might not be useful or for me in future at any point of time. So what can I do to unlearn it? Like, I just want to,
non-use is the best way to unlearn. don't refresh the memory. That's it.
Right, sir.
It will automatically be forgotten.
Right.
Because you're not using it anymore. So continuously keep focusing your mind and engaging your brain in things that are more productive. Then the unproductive things will automatically be forgotten.
Right. Taking the attention off, as you mentioned.
Exactly. Because if you don't give attention to those, it means it's already gone.
Right.
There is nothing to unlearn. वो हो गया अभी. वो भूल भी गए हम.
Right.
That's why always focus on what you want to do. The positive things. And the rest of the stuff you will automatically forget. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. And sir, just want to know, what is your sleep cycle?
Yeah, I typically sleep by 10. And for the last 15 or 16 years, I've been using my mobile. I switch off my mobile by usually 9, 10. I switch it off. I don't even put on silence. I switch it off completely. And I've never missed a single call. Because we seem to be thinking that we are more important than we are. हम इतने important नहीं है, कोई हमको miss नहीं करता है. आराम से हम सो सकते हैं. हम सोचते हैं कि ये मैसेज मिस ना हो जाए, वो मुझे मिस ना करे. कुछ नहीं होगा. किसी ने भी मुझे 15 सालों में किसी ने भी मुझे मिस नहीं किया. Okay, so I sleep at 10 and then I wake up for my meditation in the what we call as Amrit Vela around 4 a.m. After 45 minutes of meditation, again I take a short rest for about 6 to 6:15, and then I'm awake. And after because of lockdown, I've changed my even eating habits. I eat only twice a day instead of thrice. And in case I feel a little sleepy, I take a short nap of 10 or 15 minutes sometime in the late afternoon. That's it. So I make sure that I get at least those 6 to 7 hours or 7.5 hours of sleep every day.
Thank you so much, sir. Really taking a lot of takeaways from this session. I'm gonna rewatch it again. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day.
Please.
Thank you.
Same here.
So
thanks everyone. All the best. Deepak ji, we are done.
Yeah, just for 2 minutes, please. Thanks a lot for your great valuable insight onto the most ignored things, which is the root cause of so many problems, and we just simply ignore why it is happening to me. What is the root cause? What is the exact science of taking sound sleep that you have discussed so scientifically, because we are all educated, so-called people, educated people. So we just go by the, not by personal experience of the individual, but what is the science behind that? What is the authentic information you referred on to the websites or available on the authentic data? So that gives a lot of conviction to us. Yes, that gentleman is, of course, Balakishore is Balakishore. We take it we are not taking it for granted. But yes, when Balakishore ji is saying something, it means a lot to us, and that's too with the evidences and proofs and scientifically. So this has given a lot of conviction in the audience, and especially the youth nowadays. They ask so many questions where it is written. Why should I obey you? Have you tested it earlier? Who has said this? Has he experience of all these things? So there are a lot of queries. So this kind of presentations and lectures will definitely change the mindset of the students and young kids. So yeah, this is going to make a lot of difference. So thanks a lot once again, sir. And this is just one appeal to all of you. Please, actually, I want it for a standing ovation request. Already we are all standing. So standing ovation is there. We have learned something new in this. Standing ovation for Balakishore ji for sparing his so much valuable time, and definitely it is going to change our lives, definitely. There is one request for group photograph also. If you could please take your seats, so and switch on your cameras, all of you, please. We'll have a group photograph for our sweet memories.
So you have a large screen where you can project all the pretty faces.
Yeah. We'll capture on different screens at gallery view, and we will do a little bit of editing in that, and then we will post it on our different social media and among the groups.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Nice. Thank you so much.
So it's done.
1, 2, 3. Done. Thank you so much. And before we disperse, a couple of few nice announcements for the next session. We will be starting sharp at 12
I
o'clock.
take your leave. I take
Thank